Okay, moving on through the question that we're investigating. Was creationism refuted by rebutting irreducible complexity? So far we haven't seen much science. A lot of feinting and bluffing and boasting, but no repeatable, observable, and falsifiability. Let's take a look. Index B. Bacteria flagellum refuted by evolutionists and then rebutted by creationists. We've done that, and they haven't done anything to actually produce scientific guesswork. It's all guesswork because we can't be back in time, millions and billions of years or whatever time it took, to watch this evolve. We can make some good educated scientific guesses on minutiae about this case, but that's not been done. It's apples and oranges so far. One bacteria shows locomotion function, and another one shows that secretion of toxic through the into the host. But that's not the same thing. Two different species, two different functions. How is that the same? No. Okay. Let's look for this, where we left off. The claim of the scientist involved in this, which is, by the way, Professor Kenneth R. Miller. This is what he says. The claim of irreducible complexity for the bacteria flagellum is an obvious example of this, of something that doesn't work, the logic of it. But there are many others. Consider the example of the intricate cascade of proteins involved in the clotting of vertebrate blood. This has been cited as one of the principal examples of the kind of complexity that evolution cannot generate, despite the elegant work of Russell Doolittle. To the contrary, a number of proteins are involved in this complex pathway as described by Behe. When an animal is cut, a protein called Hageman factor sticks to the surface of cells near the wound. Bound Hageman factor is then cleaved by a protein called HMK to yield activated Hageman factor. Immediately, the activated Hageman factor converts another protein called prekallikrein to its active form, kallikrein. How important are each of these proteins? In line with the dogma of irreducible complexity, Behe argues that each and every component must be in place before the system will work, and he's perfectly clear on this point. Here we go. Another component. None of the cascade proteins are used for anything except controlling the formation of a clot in that particular species. Yet in the absence of any of the components, blood does not clot and the system fails. So, now he goes, do we look for another species to sidetrack this whole thing like the professor did before? Let's see what happens. As we have seen, the claim that every one of the components must be present for clotting to work is central to the evidence for design. One of the components is these quoted indicate is Factor XII, 12, which indicates the cascade. Once again, however, a nasty little fact gets in the way of intelligent design theory. There you go again. Dolphins. Oh, are dolphins similar to dogs? Where do dogs occupy? Water? No. Dolphins occupy the terrain, the ground? No, that's the water. They occupy an atmosphere of water. Dolphins lack Factor 12. So what? And yet their blood clots work perfectly well. How can this be if the clotting cascade is indeed irreducibly complex in the dog species? Come on, it cannot, of course, and therefore the claim of irreducible complexity is wrong for this system as well. Really? I would suggest, therefore, that the real reason for the rejection of the design by the scientific community is remarkably simple. The claims of the intelligent design movement are contradicted time and time again by the scientific evidence. The first thing you try to do is this bacteria with the flagellum. Didn't work. You can't go to a bacteria with a secretion system of toxins. Not the same thing. In this case, it is not contradicted. Apples and oranges again, I say. A human being is not the same as a dolphin. I wonder if he actually made that point. No, he didn't bother. Have you tried to find a human being that does not have factor 12 in his blood clotting system to see if it operates? No, evidently not. Don't dolphins have a different environment to live in that might not need factor 12? Yes. Have you refuted an intelligent design because factor 12 is redundant? No, for you may discover that the factor 12 is essential for human clotting, but not for dolphin clotting. An intelligent designer is nevertheless not refuted because there is not proved out there is no irreducible complexity present in the universe at all, and therefore no evidence that one might be required. It's all about evidence. On the other case, if they did prove their case, do we have to opt out and say we've also refuted intelligent designer? No. Right? Maybe the intelligent designer left this up. Lots of things can be changed over a short period of time to fix something wrong with a life form. Or you can alter it. You can take flowers and graft in another flower and find a hybrid flower, or that other flower is reproduced. You have white flowers and then you put one red one on one stem. Right? That didn't account for evolvement over millions of years. Humans did that. But the flowers could have been created by an intelligent designer and allowed for the modification of life forms by man or animals or by chance. That doesn't obfuscate an intelligent designer. Anyway, the professor goes on, the flagellum unspun. Oh, now he's great victory. Fist up. Yay. Okay. In any discussion of the question of intelligent design, it is absolutely essential to determine what is meant by the term itself. If, for example, the advocates of design wish to suggest that the intricacies of nature, life, and the universe reveal a world of meaning and purpose consistent with an overarching, possibly divine intelligence, then their point is philosophical, not scientific. I didn't say it wasn't. You can take scientific points that are minutiae that either bear a weight in the direction of evolution or in the direction of intelligent design more than the other. But you can't tell who's won the race. We can't observe, falsify, or repeat. And so is yours philosophical, I say, because yours is not based on scientific facts either, because there has not been any opportunity for observing one species evolve into another in a reasonable time frame that does not exceed the age of the universe, nor an opportunity for repeating and falsifying, because you have to see the whole process. Furthermore, information that may contribute toward corroborating one view does not refute the other, which view might also be corroborated by the same evidence, more or less, right? Well, Professor goes on, it is a philosophical point of view, incidentally, that I share, along with many scientists, as H. Alan Orr pointed out in a recent review. Plenty of scientists have, after all, been attracted to the notion that natural laws reflect, in some way that's necessarily poorly articulated, an intelligence or aesthetic sensibility. This is the religion of Einstein, who spoke of the grandeur of reason incarnate in existence, and of the scientist's religious feeling about that takes form of a rapturous amazement of the harmony of natural law. Well, how did natural law get harmony? Maybe that's the intelligent design. Maybe it's the God particle. Right? This, however, is not what is meant by intelligent design in the parlance of the new anti-evolutionists, which is right. It isn't. Their views demand not a universe in which the beauty and harmony of natural law has brought a world of vibrant and fruitful life into existence, with natural disasters, the destruction of humans and property and the planet, including the participation of mankind in all the evil that it does. Oh, that's beauty and harmony, huh? But rather a universe in which the emergence and evolution of life is made expressly impossible by the very same rules. Yes, and you're going to badmouth an intelligent designer. And you say, no, there's no such thing. The universe is beautiful. Their view requires that the source of each and every novelty of life was the direct and active involvement of an outside designer whose work violated the very laws of nature that he had fashioned. If he fashioned the universe, created it, he wouldn't violate those laws. He's got his own laws, right? Now, the laws of nature operates within nature. And the laws of God operate within God. And he can do both because he created the nature. the universe. The world of intelligent design is not the bright and innovative world of life that we have come to know through science. Oh, really? Wars. World wars. One predator after another. The destruction of all kinds of life. Rather, it is a brittle and unchanging landscape, frozen in form and unable to adapt except at the whims of its designer. Well, at the whims of the designer, he's benevolent. And he's going to fix it and make it perfect like it originally was. Have you thought of that? The creationist worldview is far more beautiful and will even be more so when the Creator comes to fix everything and bring us back to the world of the Garden of Eden before the fall, including man. No more natural disasters, cruelties to fellow man by man, perfect climate, no death, only eternal life. Or don't you read the Bible logically in accordance with the normative rules of language, context, and logic? Whether you believe it or not, you should read it because that's the frame of reference by which intelligent designers go largely by to determine what it really says and not what someone else tells you it says. Are you just inventing this? Cruel God in a wonderful world. No, it's a benevolent God who promises to fix this world. And what has brought this world into its cruelty? Mankind. Professor, you're human. Certainly the issue of design and purpose in nature is a philosophical one that scientists can and should discuss with great vigor. Yes, when you discuss evolution, you're being philosophical. You're not being scientific. Of course, you've supported my very point. Both evolutionist and creationist statements about the design and purpose of the universe and nature must of necessity be philosophical because there is no means by which true scientific evidence can be arrived at that because such evidence is neither wholly observable, nor wholly repeatable, nor wholly falsifiable. I don't know a scientist that's more than 100,000 years old to be able to do that. It has to be millions. However, the notion at the hearts of today's intelligent design movement is that the direct intervention of an outside designer can be demonstrated by the very existence of complex biochemical systems. And so far, this is the best example. Not scientifically, philosophically, but with a lot of scientific weight in its direction. If a complex biochemical or other kind of system cannot gradually evolve because the time involved would be greater than the supposed age of the universe, then it demands an intelligent designer because the probability of their evolving is too long. Longer than the supposed age of the universe. What even they acknowledge is that their entire scientific position rests upon a single assertion that the living cell contains biochemical machines that are irreducibly complex. There are other assertions, I say, which creations make as well. For example, the worldwide flood of which evidence is everywhere on the planet testifies to a recent creation. They evidently destroyed the evolutionary rock strata and fossil record, because if it came after the fossil record, the water would have swept it away. So what's the fossil record we look at? It was created by the water of the worldwide flood, which evidence would have been destroyed, evidence of evolution in a very short time. If there was evidence in the first place, and there probably was not, which thus demands an intelligent designer to create the universe so quickly. But the one assertion at a time, please. And the bacterial flagellum is the prime example of such a machine. And now we try to match a dolphin with a human or a dog. One of the innumerable examples. To refute one is not to refute them all. Each one must be adequately examined. Such an assertion, as we have seen, the professor says, can be put to the test in a very direct way. If we are able to search and find an example of a machine with fewer protein parts, contained within the flagellum, that serves a purpose distinct from motility, well, then it's a different question. The claim of irreducible complexity is refuted. No, it's not. It's just another claim. This is irreducibly complex, the one bacteria with the locomotion parts, protein parts. Similar proteins, but not all the same, do a excretion of a toxin in another bacterium, a different cell. Not so. Intelligent design is not refuted just because he created a particular design with multi-purposes. I would think that what he did was rather intelligent and amazing, wouldn't you? And he does it a lot faster than evolution. As we have also seen, the flagellum does indeed contain such a machine, a protein-seeking apparatus, that carries out an important function even in species that lack the flagellum altogether. Different point. Scientific idea rises or falls on the weight of the evidence.